interception happened, there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
Mm-mm.
Uh, and then the other unforgettable one, again, I got to take it out of Tyler's because for a long time I wondered if I would see this in my lifetime. Was the Evan McPherson game winning kick to send us to the Super Bowl? So those were mine. They were all Bengals moments, but those are always seem to be what stick out the most, had the most effect on me.
Hell yeah, brother. Good list. All right, Kev, what's yours, brother? 3 most unforgettable sports moments. Didn't have to be there live, just in general.
Is it directed at me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're up.
Okay.
Yeah, you're up.
Okay, I'll get in here. I'll say this because I like the Bengals and I'm on a Bengals themed show. So how, at least in my 33 years of life, how is it not Evan McPherson kicking the field goal to send the Bengals to the Super Bowl? One of the, I mean, there's been some other good Bengals moments in my life, but then there's also been years when they've been god awful and it hasn't been fun to watch. And it's like, in my mind, I've always like, man, that'd be cool one day if the Bengals could be in the Super Bowl. That'd be so cool. But like, you're like, but you never really thought that much of it. And then for them to actually be in a Super Bowl, it was like, wow, this is so cool. The Bengals are in a Super Bowl. They didn't get it, which sucked, but it was still cool that the Bengals were in a Super Bowl for the first time since the 80s. That was so cool. And that was a great day for me because not only did the Bengals win, but the Blue Jackets also played that day and they won that day too. So it was like, all right, Bengals going to the Super Bowl and the Blue Jackets win that day. I was just feeling great. Just an outstanding
You're like,
moment.
Ice Cube, today was a good day.
It was, yes. I was like Ice Cube that day because it was a good day. Bengals win, Blue Jackets win. It's like, oh, what a great day. This is just awesome. Since people are talking about games that they've actually been to, from a Reds perspective, I've seen some pretty good ones, I saw Ryan Friel hit 2 home runs, and I know that's not what he did. He's more, real good, utility player, defensive kind of a guy. So like when he hit home runs, that was cool. And I saw him hit 2 in one game. So that was cool. I know
legend,
Will
man.
Myers.
Cincinnati legend. Rest in peace.
I know. He was so fun to watch. I know Will Myers didn't play a lot for the Reds, but like I was at a game where he hit 2 home runs, and shortly after that, the Reds cut him. So it's like, well, at least I got to see him do that. So that was cool. I saw Michael Lorenzen's grand slam when they pitched against the Dodgers, and I always remember that the Reds were winning 5-1 at the time, and they want the bases loaded to get to Michael Lorenzen. The Dodgers were thinking, okay, pitcher, this is going to be easy out. Okay, right. Nope. Like first pitch to Lorenzen, he jacks it for a grand slam. And that effectively blew the game wide open because the Dodgers never came back from that. It was too much of a big hole to come back from. Reds win that game. So that was cool to see Michael, a pitcher, hit a grand slam. That was cool. I remember seeing Chapman pitch one of his first times ever pitching for the Reds years ago.
Damn it, Kevin, it's supposed to be 3. It's supposed to be
That was
3
cool.
moments, not 47 moments.
I'll finish, and then finally I'll finish off with. I'm just thinking because I'm on a Cincinnati themed show. I'm just thinking of different, Cincinnati stuff I've been to. I'll just finish off.
What's your favorite Blue Jacket moment? We know you.
I'm
you are a host of the Blue Jackets. Check out the Blue Jackets.
I know. I know, Dale. I was gonna get there. If you let me, I'm gonna get there. I promise. So obviously,
I know, but you're on 3.
Blue Jackets outdoor game was just outstanding. That 90, once in a lifetime event, 94,000 plus outdoor hockey game at Ohio State. The
Yeah.
Blue Jackets played the
That's
Detroit
cool.
Red Wings. It was just outstanding. The Blue Jackets win 5-3, and you saw Blue Jackets history right there. That's a where were you moment when you saw that game.
Yeah, it was a great game too. Jeff was at that when I
Jeff was Jeff was there. Jeff was at that game as well. And then one more. I know I went over 3, my bad, but one more for me, and then I'll stop talking. We can get other people in here. Is when I was at the Blue Jackets playoff game in game 3 in 2019 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. At that point in time, they were up 2-0 in the series, and the Blue Jackets won that game 3-1. They eventually sweep the Lightning. But in that game, I've been there for some games where it's been loud, where the Blue Jackets have won games, and it's been loud when they score. If they come back to win it, stuff like that. But that was the loudest I've ever heard it from start to finish. Puck drop to end. CBJ, let's go Jackets, non-stop. And obviously when the Blue Jackets score a goal, the cannon goes off. When the Blue Jackets scored the third goal to make it 3-1, I remember seeing the cannon go off, but you didn't hear the cannon because it was just so loud in there. And then when they announced who scored the goal, it was the Columbus goal is scored by number 13, Cam Atkinson. And you couldn't hear the announcer say Cam Atkinson because it was so loud in there. And it was just, awesome. Playoff games in general, whatever the sport is, if you can go to one, go to one. So overall, good Reds moments, good Bengals moments, and good Blue Jackets moments. So I've done my talking for now, and we'll let someone else get in here.
For a minute there, my audio kind of went out. So like when Kevin was talking at maybe the first half of that, I could not hear anybody like him or anything. So that's why I exited the stream for a minute. But I think I got it fixed now.
You named lots of Reds moments here. Good.
Now last question I seen was, do you guys still hate Carson Palmer? So we'll start off there, and I'll start it off. Like for me personally, I don't know that I ever hated him. I hated Kimo von Oelhoffen for injuring his knee, and I know it's like, oh, he quit on the Bengals, this, that, and the other. But I knew that he was trying to get some shit done, and the front office is stubborn as hell. Like that's just something as Bengals fans you got to realize they are stubborn as hell. They do things their way. It's their way or the highway. So I don't know I ever hated him too much, but as time passes, I hate him less and less. And the more, things that I've heard that TJ Hushmanzada says and this person and that person says, I'm like, it's really hard to hate the man when all he was trying to do was actually get the team to a Super Bowl level. Like, me personally, I don't hate Carson Palmer, but we'll go. Greg, you're up next. You're beside me. We'll keep kicking it around the horn.
Yeah. From what I've heard, I was all against Carson Palmer completely, and I still don't approve how he handled the situation and all that. But at the same essence, something that I fear that could happen with Joe Burrow when you're promised a bunch of stuff like this, and this. I could see. There's always two sides to a story. I could see where he was upset. I honestly could see that. Now, does that mean that do I approve how he handled it? No, because he was still. And on the other hand, he was the highest paid QB in the league. But just because you're paid, you want more than money. He wanted to win also than money. So, yeah, I'm on both sides.
Well, wasn't he promised? Sides. Like he was promised certain free agents. Correct?
Oh yeah, he was promised a bunch. You don't. They're little saying don't make promises you can't keep. So, yeah, if I had to, I understand his frustrations. I totally understand his frustrations, but. I still don't like the way.
You still hate him. Just say it. Just say, yeah, I still hate him. It's okay.
I still do, but not as much. No, look, I hated him. It went from hate to disappointed. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think for me,
Anthony said, I ain't even going in order. I don't give a fuck. It was Will's turn. It was the learning tree's turn, and he just.
My bad.
Fuck you, Will.
No. No, Anthony,
Now,
go ahead. Go ahead.
all right. Well, I think for me, looking at the whole thing and looking at the situation in its entirety, I agree. There's two sides to every story, but but there's a right way and a wrong way to do business. On the one hand, Carson, from the sounds of it, was promised a lot, but there also comes a point where you were given a lot to make you successful, but you didn't capitalize on it. When you had a damn good offensive line, when you had one of the best receiving tandems in football, and you still couldn't get over the hump. I think towards the end of Palmer's run, the elbow injury, because I know me and Will had talked about this off the record on a number of occasions. The 2008 elbow injury, I think truthfully is what did it as far as his time with us. I think he had pretty much checked out even then. But I don't hate him. I think, in all honesty, if you look
he checked out because promises were made and promises were made and not kept.
Yeah.
I think at this
Year
point
after
though
year
I think at this point though we really can't keep turning around and wondering if Joe Burrow is going to do the same thing when at the end of the day they're two totally separate people.
Well, Anthony, I want to go back to Carson Palmer. When he went to the Cardinals, he was doing stuff like running out of the pocket. He acted like he was still hurt. A lot of fans just assumed that his knee never healed, but it certainly looked like it healed when he went to the Cardinals. Well, he tore it again a second time with the Cardinals. I think it was his other ACL, but it's like
no, it's the same knee.
It was the same knee. I'm like, where were you doing that? Where all of a sudden your knee healed properly when you went to the Cardinals, apparently. So I kind of, in a way, thought he quit his final year against us with us also.
I just think he checked out.
All right, let's
go ahead.
So the question is, do you still hate him?
At this point, you can't hate. You can't. I'll never quote unquote say I hate a person.
So you don't hate him.
I just didn't like how he did. I didn't like how he did.
I'm disappointed. I'm just disappointed.
You know, you could just say, are you still mad at him? Are you still mad at him?
I'm mad the way he handled it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Like Greg's still mad. I'm cool with it. Like I can't imagine the frustration personally.
Will, it's your turn.
Cool
What's your answer?
How about?
No, okay. I just waiting my turn very patiently.
Yeah.
Well,
love you, buddy.
Here, hey, I never hated Carson Palmer, right? I appreciate the first round draft picks he got us. Thank you for going to Oakland. Thank you. Appreciate that. We needed it. Wait a minute. We went to the playoffs five.
A first and a second.
We went five.
Drake Kirkpatrick and Gio.
Yeah. We
AJ Green.
Since you didn't want to play with us anymore, that's fine. And Andy Dalton thanks you too, right? It's 5 straight playoffs and still in the league.
No, there was a thing going on. There was a thing going around that Carson called when they were drafting Andy Dalton. That he called Andy to tell him not to go to the team.
Well, he told Joe the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was telling Joe the same thing.
Well, look.
But that there was nothing ever to confirm that he had talked to Joe directly. That was always speculation, to my knowledge. Or was there something that somebody that confirmed that? Because I had heard that as well.
It was put out through the media. I know that much.
Either, but yeah.
Yeah, I knew the one with Andy Dalton.
All right, Will. Let's let Will continue. Will, what else?
Despite whatever
you still
was promised,
dislike the man. You still mad at him?
No, I'm not. I was never mad at him. I mean, that's what happens. You know, you get traded away and things don't go the way when things don't ultimately end the way you want and it end the way it did. Like look what happened with Corey. I see the same thing. I never disliked him. I didn't agree with what he said, but he's his own man. We were fine after that. But it does make you wonder. Yeah. It does kind of make you wonder what if he did say. Right?
Which I was gonna say could
we put that team that made the playoffs under Carson, who was a better quarterback than Dalton at that point.
I would have loved to seen Carson Palmer with AJ Green.
Yeah, AJ Green, Marvin Jones,
with Carson Palmer's cannon ass arm with AJ Green would have been.
Come on,
man.
AJ Green, Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu. I mean, it wasn't like we just dropped off the face of the earth. We got rid of Chad. We got rid of T.O. TJ's gone. I'm like, what do you want? We got rid of the whole team. Carson, what do you? I mean, anyone that perceived had a problem, they were gone. We moved on very quickly. That 4-12 year we had. And 20 was that 20? Was that 09? It was 4-12.
I think it was 08.
08. I mean,
08 with T.O. right? Was that T.O. and Chad?
No, that was 2009.
Yeah,
sure.
No, T.O. was 2010.
Right,
it was 9. It was no.
Yeah, T.O.
nine.
was 2010.
Was it 10?
Yeah, it was
9?
2009.
Well,
2009 was Lavernius Coles.
Okay, well, 2010, 9, 10, whatever, 10. Has T.O. ever played a year where nothing happened? No controversy, no nothing. And made the Pro Bowl. I'm like, well, damn, you even got T.O. on his best behavior, which I didn't think was possible, right? I didn't think that was humanly possible. Every stop, the T.O., he had a problem with someone, quarterback, coach, media, everybody. He played it kind of cool here, made the Pro Bowl. That's not good enough. I'm like, well, all right, Carson. The thing is, see, your career in Cincinnati will always be on you. You can point the finger outside to whatever you want, whatever promise you made. It's still on you, though. Those fourth quarter interceptions, it started to become not even a rarity. It was like, okay, if he doesn't turn the ball over, we got a good shot at winning every game. Just don't turn the ball over in the end. Well, that was happening more frequent than it used to. Can you blame the ownership on that?
Kevin.
Yes.
Kevin, I don't know if you have any thoughts on Carson Palmer.
Oh,
that might have been before your time as a Bengals fan.
No. I have some thoughts. All
right. Yeah, you hate this man? You still mad at him?
Okay, so no, because I never really hated him. Carson Palmer was one of my guys growing up. I had 3 Carson Palmer jerseys. I had a black Carson Palmer jersey, a orange Carson Palmer jersey, a white Carson Palmer jersey. I had all three Bengals jerseys in all 3 colors. I was a Carson Palmer guy. Also with Chad Johnson, I had the black, the white, the orange. Those were my people. I grew up liking those people. Those were, in those 2000s.
What you mean your people? What you mean by your people? Will Anthony? What's he mean by that?
I think you're fucking with him. So
no, he didn't say you people. He said no. It's fine. Yep. Continue.
We're not doing this deal. We're not doing this.
No, we're not. Continue.
It was a joke.
But I like Carson Palmer. I didn't hate him. He was my guy. I had I had a Bengals orange jersey, Carson Palmer, black Carson Palmer jersey, white Bengals Carson Palmer jersey. I had Carson Palmer pictures. I had him in my room. Also Chad Johnson, like those Bengals teams in like the 2000s. I remember those teams, and those were fun teams. I like those teams, and I was the only one that was wearing
the offensive firepower.
It was, and I was the only one in going to school in Illinois wearing Bengal stuff at the time, which was Chad Johnson and Carson Palmer, and that was just awesome. And I loved it. So no, and again, I'm more of a casual Bengals fan, so I'm not as plugged in as all of you other people. So I never necessarily heard all the, other stuff that he did that I understand that people don't like about him, so I heard like the Joe Burrow stuff, but like other than that, I never really heard about that. I only heard the Carson Quitter thing, but there's more nuance to that. So like, I'm more the casual Bengals fan. And what I remember about Carson Palmer is that he was a good quarterback for the Bengals. Those awesome, 2000s teams of him, Chad Johnson and TJ Hushmanzada and Rudy Johnson and just so much more. Just so fun to watch. And you look at the Bengals last 20 plus years, they've had they've gone from Carson Palmer, Andy Dalton, now to Joe Burrow. Not many teams can say that they can go from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback and not be terrible. So I like Carson Palmer. I don't hate him.
All right, Tyler, how about you?
So when I was younger, I was too once a Carson Palmer guy. I used to be. First ever Bengals jersey I ever owned was an orange Carson Palmer jersey. Played the Madden games, always, Bengals were always my team, and I'd play the franchise mode and try to drag the Bengals to the Super Bowl every year. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But I want to go back to Ohio Game Talk's comment for just a minute, because I know he mentioned something about LeBron and Carson Palmer walking out in 2010. A couple different situations there. The Bengals actually had talent on the team. The Cavaliers did not, during LeBron's first 10 years. So that's a different situation. I think that's what he ended up commenting there, but that's okay. Now, as do I.
Libby Gibson, Sasha Pavlovic,
Zadrunas Ilgauskas.
Man, you were hating on some greats.
Zadrunas Ilgauskas was his best teammate. Anyway, back. So, do I hate Carson Palmer? The only nice thing I'll say about him is he's the 5th best quarterback in team history. That's the nicest thing I could say to him.
I disagree, but continue.
He's the most athletically gifted of the.
And
of the
there's
team.
there's two former Bengals that are on my I cannot stand list. One would be Palmer, 2 would be Jackson Carman. That's it.
Yeah.
What about that Jackson Carman jersey you told me you
what's
bought?
What's the Jackson Carman?
Never thought he deserved the spot on the team. Just never did.
Well, I mean, he was drafted in the 2nd round.
Well, he shouldn't have been.
No, I agree. Tyler, I want to go back to LeBron. No, I agree with you, man. When they need to make a big trade, they had a shot at getting what's his name from this Amari Stoudemire.
Yes, correct.
Let's get Antoine Jameson instead. I'm like, that's your best equation you got. I was happy he went to the Heat because I'm like, Cavs called him a traitor. I'm sorry. You did not do anything to get him to stay. I did not blame him at all. I was happy that he went. I was happy he went back to Cleveland and he won a championship there. But I did not blame him at all for wanting to leave.
Exactly. And the thing, their last ditch effort too was to get like a 39-year-old Shaq or something. It's like, weakness, yeah, come on now.
It's weakness. It's a weakness. It's a weakness.
All right. Thank you, man.
But Carson Palmer though, like he had the talent there. Like he had a really good offensive line. Like I would venture to say he had a better offensive line for most of his career than Burrow's had so far. If I'm being completely honest,
he had a better offensive line. Everybody except Boomer.
Like I said, I'll go back one more time. I just thought he quit near the end and all that. Look, it's hard, Dale. I'm gonna say this. It's hard for me to show sympathy for someone who made millions of dollars. But I get it. He wanted to win. I get that. But I just can't. It's very hard for me to show sympathy for like the highest paid quarterback in the league. That's why it's hard for me. But I still get it. Dale, I'll put it this way. I was at a 1 to a 10, 10 being hateful. I was at a 10 for the longest time. I'm now between a 6 and a 5. Right now, still. So, like I said, I don't like using the word hate. I'm still disappointed, but I've eased up a bit. That's how I feel.
And no, you're not wrong.
Will wants to know.
Interesting question. But
Will wants to know how do you hate Jackson Carman more than Cordy Glenn?
I mean, Cordy Glenn could be up there
Cordy
too.
Glenn. He's got
Cordy Glenn.
But I would have Jackson Carman above him. But I understand it.
Hold on. At least Cordy Glenn played the position he was supposed to.
Now, if you guys really want to hate an offensive lineman that's not Jackson Carman or Cordy Glenn, may I suggest Will's GOAT, Michael Jordan. He's the one who got Joe Burrow injured in the first place.
Well, here's the thing. The problem with Michael Jordan, you had fucking Jim Turner, who was the fucking offensive line coach that basically was playing the kid before he was actually fucking.
All right.
if you want to hate a motherfucker that on that offensive line that was actually trash, I'm proclaiming Bobby goddamn Hart. Fuck that guy.
Billy Price. I mean, I don't know.
Oh man,
Isaiah Prince. I mean,
dude, Bobby Hart. Billy Price, the injury. I feel you on that, Will. But Bobby Hart, dude, when they gave him their big free agency move was like, look, 3 years, $21 million. When he was the worst fucking lineman on the team the year before.
He was the worst on his team. Troy Blackburn came out and said, "Well, there was nobody better out there." You know, it's like, so you're just willing to settle for mediocrity? Seriously? There were better options. You just didn't want to be creative doing it. That irritated me when they gave him that contract with Bobby Hart.
Anthony, you didn't even see it. Michael Madden said the same shit. What about Bobby Hart?
Dell, I got a question for you guys.
Fuck Bobby Hart.
I got a question for you guys, and we can pass around the horn if you like. We can start with whoever. Based on this season, on the previous two as well, do you guys think this is Zach Taylor's final year? Do you think he's on the hot seat as much as people are saying he is?
If you're going on previous coaching, if you're going on I'm sorry, Dale.
I was just going to say it's a great question, but Anthony, you can start it, and then I'll go after you. We'll go. Anthony has no rules on how it starts. Anthony, and then the rest of us will.
My bad. Anyway,
go ahead, Anthony.
If you're going on the history of the team and how they deal with their coaches, I'm going to say no. I think what would end up happening, they would do kind of a similar thing with like how they did Marvin, where they just basically let his contract run out and just not renew it. They would let that happen before they actually quote unquote fired him.
Are you saying for like 18 plus years though? Is that like, or you mean like just the second time,
Just second time, they would just let his contract run out.
Okay.
So 2026, they just wouldn't renew it.
Okay.
I'll actually kick this one to you, Tyler, next. Anthony, I'll go last because I'm going to hear what you guys say because honestly, I'm conflicted because I do hear the Bengal thing.
So, yeah.
Is he on the hot seat? If the Bengals don't so the question is if they don't make the playoffs, right?
Even if we finish
we're saying the Bengals.
Even if we finish 10-7, 9-8, whatever, we don't make the playoffs, regardless. Yeah.
Yeah, like a Mike Tomlin 9-8, but you missed the playoffs. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna listen to you guys about it. So what do you think? We finished 9-8, missed the playoffs.
So that would be
that scenario, right?
Yeah. That would be the third consecutive year that we would do this, right? And so for me,
yes,
I think Zach Taylor takes a lot of heat sometimes, even if it shouldn't be on him, in regards to the front office, the way we make roster moves, construction, whatever. Now he is the head coach, so he should take some of the blame. I'm not saying that. However, we did have a lot of quote unquote play calling issues within the last few years, and some has the offense really proved it last year. The offense really did well, so he did better on that front as well. I respect the man. I respect him as a leader of men. However, if we do finish 9-8, it's hard for me to see it. Him being here, because I think, like I said, I think he takes a lot more of the blame than he should, especially on certain things. But if we do the same thing we did the previous 2 years,
the defense last year. Now there's a new D coordinator, and that was his pick.
Yeah, that's it. That's his pick. Yes. So I would venture to say yes, 9-8 or 10, whatever it is, miss the playoffs. I would venture to say yes, although this is something I don't want to happen because I like Zach Taylor. I really do.
Kev, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I know the players overall like Zach Taylor, especially Joe Burrow. He's a big Zach Taylor guy. You don't necessarily would want to upset him, but at the same time, if you keep doing this thing where it's 9-8 and you don't even make the playoffs, what are you even doing here? Because your team that you currently have has the talent that's good enough to make the playoffs and go on a run to maybe go on a run to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl like they've done before. It's not that long ago that they were in 2 AFC Championship games, winning one of them, going to a Super Bowl. It's not that long ago. You've shown that this is the type of roster that can do it. And then if you keep doing this 9-8 thing, you don't make the playoffs, something has to happen, because you look, okay, so you fired the Frank Pollock, he's no more. You fired Lou Amorello. You fired this guy, that guy. You're doing all these changes, both to offense and defense, and now that, like you said, this new defensive coordinator, this is Zach Taylor's guy. So it's like at some point you do have to say, okay, we've tried all this stuff, and if it doesn't work, it's like, well, we like you. Thanks for getting us to 2 AFC Championship games and a Super Bowl. But at some point, you got to find something different, because this type of team with a Joe Burrow and a Jamar Chase and a T. Higgins and Chase Brown and Mike Gesicki and Logan Brown and Trey Hendrickson and that you can go down the list. Like, this is a team that's good enough that could be doing what they did not that long ago. You want to win a Super Bowl eventually, and if you're not going to do that, then you find someone else that can try and put their best foot forward and try something different to get there, because ultimately that's all. I think, in my opinion, I think that's what we all want. We all want the Bengals to be good and eventually win a Super Bowl. And you can't keep doing this slow start thing. That's got to stop, because that has hurt them. I know 2021 and 2022, there was a slow start, but then they got going, but you just can't keep doing that. So if it keeps going the way that it is, eventually you are going to have to make a change, because you can't just keep doing this. You have the type of talent to go get a Super Bowl. Let's go do it. And if it's not Zach Taylor, maybe someone else can do it.
What do you think, Will?
Well, okay. Let's look at our track record of coaches, right?
It's tough because, like, what would the? Go ahead. I was just going to say it's tough because it's what would the Bengals do and what should happen if they miss the playoffs for the 3rd straight year.
Sure. Well, I'm going to go with
I'm conflicted.
I'm going to go with what's going to happen, right? Whether we make the playoffs or not, Zach Taylor will still be the coach, even if we miss the playoffs again, right? I think because he went to the Super Bowl, AFC Championship game, that actually gets him a pass for a few years. Look at Marvin Lewis, right? 15 years coaching for us, right? 7 playoffs, 8 years where he didn't. Did we hold on to him too long? Probably. Will we probably hold on to Coach Taylor too long? Probably. We probably will, right? Don't get me wrong. If we have just a terrible year, okay, we might. That might be the only way. Like really bad. Like, I mean, not 2-14, not that bad. 3-4, not that bad, but it has to be. It can't be
under 500. Under 500.
Yeah, it's got to be bad.
Under 500 with a healthy Burrow. You got to can his ass. You have to can his ass.
Yeah, and the thing is
under 500.
Yeah, and the thing is, we'll just be scrounging around for who's next. Because if there's a better coaching option, then we should explore it anyway. You should always explore the better coaching option.
But one that wants to deal with the Bengals' restrictions of how they do business.
That's correct. But I mean, if ultimately we wouldn't just totally out of the question. Bill Cowher, he thought about it. He realized he wasn't gonna get what he wanted, just like Belichick. They're like, well, damn, I could win this. Yeah, you can win some Super Bowls here, but you can't do it your way. You got to do it their way. They both kind of seemed like they were just unwilling to do that, which is fine because they want all the credit. But guess what? It's the reason why you both are sitting where you are now, because at the end you get the blame too. And the coaches, they should get the blame. It is what it is, like quarterback. Owner, coach, quarterback. You're going to get more credit than you deserve. You're going to get more blame than you deserve. It's always been that way.
Yeah. And the Bengals, though, they get more of a leash, more rope for a head coach. So this is where I'm conflicted with this question, honestly. It's like, what should happen if the Bengals miss the playoff for a third straight year, regardless of the record?
Yeah.
Your head coach should be fired. After firing the O-line coach to the DC, your head coach should be fired.
Right.
But with Joe Burrow at your quarterback, he should be fired. If you miss the playoffs this year and Joe Burrow, healthy or not, honestly, your coach should be fired if you miss the playoffs for a third straight year. Period. In my opinion. So mine's done. Now, Greg, all eyes are on you, baby boy. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm going to go back to what we've talked about without Golden. I know Zach said it was his decision. I guarantee you somebody in the front office approached him and said, you got to make a change. I don't think Zach Taylor ever wanted to fire Louis. If he had it his way, he didn't want to. I think he was approached by somebody, either Katie or Troy or Duke or whoever, saying, you got to do something or we have to make a decision. So I think he's trying to save his own job by having to get rid of Lou. And I'm happy without Golden. But, but Dale, goes back to Marvin Lewis.
He put more pressure on himself, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He put more pressure on himself, Greg, by saying that.
Yeah, you're right. I get what you're saying. He's put more pressure on himself. But, Dale, but then again, I go back to Marvin Lewis. He's lasted here for 20 years. I mean, Zach Taylor got us to a Super Bowl, but that Marvin Lewis can never do. So if Marvin Lewis can last 20 years, heck, right. I mean, what should happen, yes, he should be in the hot seat. If he missed the playoffs, I love Zach, but he should be gone. But if Marvin Lewis could stay here,
7 in the playoffs.
Won a playoff game.
7 in 15 years. I'm like,
no. I was going to say one thing why Marvin got a reset was quarterback. The thing that happened with Carson and Andy Dalton and a whole new quarterback receiver duo, that kind of saved his job at the time. And there's no way in hell Zach's getting that with Joe Burrow signed to his contract. And Joe Burrow being who he is, they're not going to say, let's give you let's have you a tank season and try to get a number 1 pick.
But I think
so that's the only reason that I think Zach is more on the hot seat as I think about it compared to Marvin.
I think
the second phase of his career.
Right.
Marvin got a second phase of his career because Carson got traded and then Andy Dalton, AJ Green, this new crew in 5 straight years in the playoffs. Marvin got a new lease on life. And that ain't happening with Zach Taylor because Joe Burrow is here. So if he missed the playoffs for the 3rd straight year with Joe
no, you did.
He is fired right there. I think he is fired. I'm on team he is fired.
Dale, I agree with you. I just, but will they do it? I don't know. But no. If they don't make the playoffs, there's no excuses. He should be. I mean, I hate to say it because I love Zach. I love Zach personally, but I'm sorry. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. Like you said, he's got Joe Burrow. Marvin never had a Joe Burrow,
And the thing is too is when we made the Super Bowl, right? You guys remember how horrible that offensive line was. We got that fixed now. The defense was better, obviously, back then. We're on the right track, maybe, to get that fixed again. Greg's right. There should be no excuse this year.
The defense was older. The defense was older. They had better communication. That's what it is, and they were healthy for the most part. Our defense has not been healthy the last 2 years.
10 out of 13 of the last 3 round picks have been on the defensive side. They brought Golden in for this reason to develop young players.
Yep.
So
he's going to play them.
Lou left for that. The offensive line. Yeah. The offensive line has been getting better, but they didn't. The front office did not invest in the guard position, by the way. That's on the front office. But the offensive line is the best Joe Burrow has probably had. Regardless, Dylan Fairchild, Orlando Brown, Amarius Mims, Ted Karras. I feel good about at least 4 of those 5 positions. Right. We went to the Super Bowl feeling good about 0 of the 5 positions.
One. I felt good about one. I felt good about one at the lineman. That's about it.
And who was that?
I felt good about Jonah Williams.
Yeah. Compared to the other 4, wait a minute. Now, I talk bad about Jonah Williams, but
I would agree. I like Jonah Williams.
Compared to the other 4 guys on that line,
there's a lot of slander on Jonah Williams in the Bengals fan base.
Right? Compared to the other 4 guys?
A lot of slander on Jonah Williams in this fan base. And Jonah Williams was a damn good left tackle for us compared to 4 fucking pieces of fucking wood.
We just proved that we're not good at evaluating backup linemen either. We'll just pay.
But the crazy part is, but the crazy thing, Will, if you look at the history of the fan base for a long time, we actually were fantastic at evaluating linemen.
Well, no, I mean the backup linemen. We didn't used to be this bad with backup linemen. The best backup lineman we had is Cody Ford since 2021.
And Cody Ford should still be a backup.
He definitely should still be a backup. You can go and leave.
Right? Him and Lucas Patrick should both be
backup.
I feel good about the depth.
I agree with you, Dale.
If Lucas Patrick and Cody Ford was our depth guards, I would feel good about that depth.
Yeah.
But one of them is going to start. Yeah. And that scares the living fuck.
Well, how long though? Just how long? How long before we realize, okay, this is not going to work? That's all. With the front part of the schedule, well, hopefully not that long. First 5 games, they're winnable games.
No, I ain't trying to make you sad. Listen, Chris, I'm trying to make you sad.
Right. They're winnable games.
So let's talk some positivity. Why we should be excited, Chris, is because we have the same things we're saying why Zach should be fired is if we miss the playoffs with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is fantastic quarterback. Mm-hmm. Then you also have Chase Brown, who's a top 10 running back in his prime. And Brooks at running back, Samaje P. Ryan, all these dudes. You brought back Jamar Chase, T. Higgins on long-term deals, no distractions there. And the line, as I just mentioned, I'm still worried about right guard. Yeah. But I believe in Dylan Fairchild left guard. I believe in Mims at right tackle. I believe in Orlando Brown at left tackle. And I believe in Ted Karras at center. And I like the depth of Matt Lee. I like the Jalen Rivers draft pick in the 5th round that can play tackle and guard.
Sure.
Both sides. He's done it in college. He can do it in the NFL.
He did it in the same
The offense is good. The defense, they are putting everything on
They just can't get hurt. They just can't get hurt. I mean, with the amount of guys we played defensively the last 2 years.
They are saying, Al Golden, what is your scheme? Al Golden, how are you going to develop the young guys? I think it's a good game. I like it. Al Golden did really good with Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson went to the Super Bowl. They were young guys when we went to the Super Bowl. He made them pretty damn fucking great. And now he's got more young linebackers. And now he's got the whole defense. That's the reasons to be excited. There's a lot to like. There's a lot to be excited about.
We have numbers now.
So I'm not writing off the season, but we are saying worst case scenario. Now, I seen a question earlier. I'm going to go back to some of the questions from earlier and fire a couple more. But we're going to end this soon because I'm going to go play Jackbox, man. You guys ever play Jackbox?
Dell, that is a very fun game. That is a very fun game. Love Jackbox.
Yeah, I've played that with my friends.
Yeah,
I've played that with my friends on Discord.
My kids like to play it, so I'm like, they're going to be up. Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite game on it? Real quick.
But I like the one audio one on one of the earlier Jackboxes where you got to match the song or whatever.
I don't remember the edition. Mine's You Got a Point. That is a very fun game.
Hey Dale, I gotta hop off here.
Yeah,
man.
I hate the ones where I have to draw. All right, see you, Greg. Love you, brother.
Greg, love you guys. See you.
Good day, Greg.
See ya.
Yeah. one starting guard in free agency was the minimum, Chris, to be fair. One starting guard was the minimum, and that's why I'm frustrated. Like, they should have hammered finding a starting guard. Trade, free agency, whatever. But no, somebody asked a question. Who's the best Spider-Man? That was the one. I think it was Ohio Game Talks. Shout out Ohio Game Talks. Check those guys out. But that's the next question I want to get to. So we'll fire this one around.
Who's the best Spider-Man?
Man, it's tough. Who's the best Spider-Man? All right, I'm going to start with you, Will. I'm going to start with you. I'm going to save myself for last again.
Oh, you mean of the three or just total?
Yeah, of the three. There's three. They were all in the movie together.
It's Tobey Maguire. He's the best Spider-Man.
All right. So old school, you're going.
Dig it out. Okay. He's the best Peter Parker too. He's the best Peter Parker as well.
Well, he even went. He did the evil one.
Yes,
too,
he did.
Remember?
Yep.
Remember when he got taken over as the evil one?
He did. Yep.
All right, Kevin, what you got?
It's close.
It's Tobey Maguire, only because that's the one I grew up with. I remember watching the games, watching the movies with him in it. I remember playing the Spider-Man video games, and it was Tobey Maguire voicing it.
Yep.
That's Spider-Man to me. Just like, to me, the best Joker is Mark Hamill.
Oh, okay.
I grew up with.
Okay. You going?
So, Tobey Maguire.
Sorry, Will. There's feedback. There's feedback. There's feedback, Will.
So Tobey Maguire for Spider-Man, because I remember playing all the video games and he voiced it growing up, and obviously the Spider-Man movies that he was in. So that's that. And just like, again, I think of him as Spider-Man. That's just me. Just like how I think of, Joker as Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy as Batman.
Right. Yeah, there's no wrong answer when you ask these questions, to be fair. It's all kind of like, what do you like better? What's your flavor of ice cream, Yeah. Will says, Will Lewis, that's all the confusion. Will's like, he keeps saying Will, I'm Will. But he says Tom Holland comes across as the best innocent nerd kid. And then he landed Zendaya. Good for him. And Chris says Tobey was Spider for years, and he still likes Tom more. All right, you're up now. I just got to get the comments in, too, because this is good.
So, is it my turn? It is my turn, okay. So, as someone who grew up on the Tobey Maguire movies, loved all three of them. Obviously, they say you can never make a sequel as good as the first one, but I would argue Spider-Man 2 was almost as good, if not better, than the first Spider-Man 2 was really good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's the same. You could say the same with Toy Story 2 as part of sequels. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. As someone who grew up on Tobey Maguire, didn't really get into the Andrew Garfield part of it until later on. Yeah. My favorite's Tom Holland. And like Tom Holland, like I'm a big MCU guy. I've been watching since Iron Man in 2008, and I just love, as I think as Will Lewis said, he comes across as the best nerd kid. And you got to think about it. Yeah, they were both probably in their mid-20s when this filmed. But if you're like looking at the Spider-Man character, like Tom Holland kind of looked more of a kid than Tobey Maguire. That's not a knock on Tobey, but like when it comes to like the range, like for playing it, I kind of like Tom Holland a bit more, if I'm being honest. And Tobey Maguire is great, but I'd give it the edge to Tom Holland.
All right, Anthony, who's your GOAT Spider-Man?
I gotta go with. I'm like Will. I gotta go Tobey Maguire because I think for me Tobey Maguire because I also enjoyed the first villain of that movie being the Green Goblin, which was played by Willem Dafoe.
Mm-hmm.
And Willem Dafoe was a fantastic.
Yeah, he's a GOAT actor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the GOAT.
Yeah, he was fantastic as the Green Goblin. I think those two playing off of each other, I don't think the movie would have had the same effect on Marvel, on just movie fans and just Marvel fans altogether if those two hadn't have been casted as Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. That's what stuck out for me.
To be fair, he killed Aunt May. He killed Aunt May in one of them new ones, and man, that was Marissa Tomei Aunt May. That fucking hurt me.
Well,
of course it hurts you.
I really felt William Dafoe. I really felt William Dafoe as Harry. Norman Osborn when he's sitting at the table, right? And here comes Toby swinging in, and he notices the cut. Notices the drop of the blood cut. I'm like, my gosh, this guy's a villain. This guy's a perfect villain. He's a perfect.
Oh yeah, but most of the movie,
you're talking about that dinner scene in the first. I know what you're talking about.
That's what I'm like.
That's a really good one.
I'm like,
that's a really good scene.
Really great because he picked up on it immediately. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I know who you are. You know who I am.
Hey, Wing. Here's the link if you want it. Wing, I'll give you a few minutes to talk about the Bengals. Wing, come on now. I love Wing. Wing does a lot of stuff with the camps. Wing's awesome, man.
Dell, did you give your answer yet?
No, I was trying to stall there because I still don't know. You guys kind of talked me into Tobey Maguire.
Wait a minute.
I like Spider-Man the character. You know what? Honestly, I'm gonna buy a new PS5, 6, whatever's coming, just so I can play the Spider-Man games. Whoever does the new Spider-Man games, that's my favorite.
Right now it's PS5.
I got nothing, man.
I love Spider-Man too.
I know.
I was gonna say I don't think they
like this. I can't buy the 5.
I don't think Tom Holland voices it in the games, does he? Yeah, I didn't think so.
No, you don't.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No, usually not. Usually it doesn't work that way. Like the Batman games, they got their own voice actors and stuff. Batman games are sweet too.
They are.
Oh,
they are.
By the way, Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, to answer your question, Heath Ledger, and I'm sorry, but Heath Ledger's the best Joker.
Well, that's fine.
Well, Mark Hamill, it's a stick up for Kevin.
No, Mark Hamill's great too.
Yeah, he is. But Heath Ledger.
Yeah. Go ahead, Anthony.
Heath Ledger for me. I love those movies.
Jack was pretty damn good too, by the way.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, you're
Mark Hamill's. The whole thing.
Like, go ahead, Anthony, because you're saying to stick up.
Yeah, the whole thing with Mark Hamill's Joker was the fact that you're using the animated side. The animated side, Mark Hamill added a significant amount of passion behind voicing the Joker, especially when you hear the Joker laugh. I don't think any animated Joker has ever been able to hit that type of I know who that is. Oh, no. So.
See, I really got into the whole Mark Hamill thing with the Joker when I started playing the Batman Arkham games.
Yeah.
I do remember. That's what I remember. I was
gonna say, you say Kevin Conroy,
right?
Too,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, Kevin Conroy. So I kind of remember seeing some of the Batman cartoons, but that was I kind of remember it, but not that much. Like when I started playing the Batman Arkham games, and I hear Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, that's to me because it was just awesome. It was just.
But for other reasons, for other reasons than the character, he died playing the Joker.
You gotta go back and watch Batman animated series.
Yeah.
Come on.
Now Heath Ledger would be the best live Joker.
Oh yeah.
Live action, yeah. And no offense to Jack Nicholson, by the way.
Jack was great for the one.
No, Jack was fantastic.
That was great. It's great.
But Heath Ledger, man, he was so good in that. So good.
Yeah.
We all still say, why so serious?
Serious, right?
Come on now.
And that's not on a Heath Ledger related note too. Heath Ledger was also brilliant in 10 Things I Hate About You, another movie he was in.
Yeah.
You were about to say that.
I agree.
I knew you were about to say that.
I agree.
Great performance by him in that movie. Great performance.
So Dale, I have an answer to
rom-coms next. Go ahead, Kev.
So I have an answer to one of your questions because when I last talked to you, you asked me if the shoe still had troughs to pee in, and I couldn't give you that answer. So, but I now have that. But I now have that answer because I was talking to one of my Columbus friends, Harry, who's a big Ohio State guy and goes to a lot of Ohio State games with Blue Jackets, but Ohio State's really his thing. So I said, Harry, I know you like Ohio State more than I do. So like when you go to games, is there still troughs in there? Because I tried going to the bathroom at the Blue Jackets outdoor game and the lines were awful. So I don't know if there's troughs in there or not. And when I asked him, he said, yes, to this day, there are still troughs at Ohio State.
So,
yeah. So in other words, when you go to go to the bathroom, I gotta look straight at the wall so that way I'm not just looking at dicks.
So
no wall. There's no wall.
So Dell, you know what? You know I went to school at Ironton, right?
Just trust and trust. You're eye to eye. You're eye to eye with somebody.
So
you're looking at dicks. That's basically all you're doing.
So Ironton High School.
You are eye to eye, like you are eye to eye, dicks beside you, and eye to eye with other dudes that are dicks beside you.
So I went to school.
Awkward shit in the world.
I went to school at Ironton High School, and that, by the way, last year state champions, go Tigers. Tanks Memorial Stadium is the name, and it's one of the last stadiums that are still intact that Jim Thorpe played in. By the way, in case y'all didn't know that either, the legendary Jim Thorpe, one of the still last few stadiums standing. Anyway, that also has a trough too. They have one in their stadium as well.
Dale's not very fond of troughs.
This trough shit gotta end, dude. It's too fucking weird. I grew up with that shit.
Yep.
I grew up with that shit, and you would think in the God's year of 2025, we would not have troughs any longer.
Well,
well, I mean, Dell, you live in Portsmouth, so you're the closest one other than me. If you're ever going to an Ironton game, let me know, and I'll try to tag along with you. So.
Well,
So Dale, we look at each other's dicks while we pee in troughs.
But Dale, I can tell you this: if you ever go to a Blue Jackets game, there are no troughs.
All right, I feel shit.
Are you set? Hold on. Here's the thing, Kevin. If you say it and he goes, and there's trough and he's looking at dicks, he's gonna let you know.
I promise you, there's no troughs. I've been going to get Blue Jackets games since 2009. There are no troughs there.
Bro, you can't stand by one of the walls.
You're gonna be looking at dicks, Dale.
Chris,
you're gonna be looking at
I'm
dicks.
telling you.
To be honest, too, Chop.
Chris said stand by one of the walls.
It would give Dell a chance too to get some of his.
All in the middle.
It would give Dell a chance to get some of his scouting in for his draft guide in like 5 years, you know. So
wow,
we're producing prospects now. So
what?
Ironton has.
He's about a 7-incher. He's a 7-incher. Fucking first rounder right there. Hey, what the fuck we doing? It's 2025.
Well, I was in the Navy 4 years, so.
Oh shit! Chop said
that stadium's been there for a long time. Like they were. Ironton was still a semi-pro football team when that stadium was built.
Hey, bring Chop's comment back up. Bring Chop's comment back up, Dale.
Mm-hmm. What is that?
Tyler, don't lie. You want to see Dale's dick when he pees in the trough in that stadium? LOL.
Well, okay, hear me out. If we get a third, it's not gay because it would be a 3-way.
Wow, I don't know.
Dale's gonna put looking at your dick in his draft guide. What the fuck? So damn. Everybody's talking about dicks now.
What kind of Bengals and Bruce show would it be if we did?
State game, go to one of those troughs, and you're gonna feel like you went back about 40 years.
I don't want to go back.
Maybe there's a reason. I'll probably just end. I'll make sure I don't drink before I go to a game. Good God.
So,
I mean, I'm sure they got some other places with some restroom, but dude, I have good seats. I was like 6 seats off the field, so the closest restroom I go in there and there's troughs. I'm like, must be the good bathrooms. You think that should be up in the 300s? Like, what are we doing?
Dell, seriously though, you need to come down to a game and watch Trevin get this get the Ironton. Watch them play. You'll like it.
Well, yeah, Trevor Pendleton. He went to Portsmouth. That's where I work. He's Portsmouth West boy, but him and his brother actually from Northwest. I played basketball with his brother. Like his brother's a few years younger, maybe, but he's a good athlete too. So yeah, I know the whole I know the family a little bit, but I'm proud of what he did from down here, and he's crushing it in Ironton. State champ. Shout out, man, for real.
So Tyler.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this, and I want you to be completely honest.
Okay.
Do you still have the Jackson Carman jersey that you told me you bought the night that he got drafted?
I never had one, man.
That's a fucking lie to you. That's a fucking lie.
He lied to you in the first place.
He
lied to you in the first.
He sent me a picture showing that he was wearing it.
I'll tell you what though. I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal, Anthony.
Okay.
If the Bengals win the Super Bowl this year, I will get a custom made Jackson Carman jersey and hang it up in my house.
I'm fucking with you. I don't care. I just know I heard you fucking
terrible.
I heard you ragging
because it would last longer in my house than the Carson Palmer jersey I owned when I was a kid.
No, you're gonna get a Hakeem Adeniji jersey. That's what you're gonna get.
Damn.
Adeniji. Not Jackson Carman.
So I was gonna ask, what's the hindsight worst jersey you've purchased? I got to think about it myself. I've had a lot. I used to buy the first round draft picks every year. Listen, the Odell Thurman. I know I had Odell Thurman. I hate this.
He was great.
Odell Thurman was fantastic.
Rookie of the year.
His rookie season. I loved how well he played. I had Leon Hall. I had Jordan Shipley. Shipley might be in the conversation. Thurman, only being a 1-year guy, might be the one.
No,
for me,
it's not because of how good he was in that 1 year. It's because he literally played for 1 year. So for me, I'm going to say Odell Thurman, and I hate it because I loved how good he played that year. But I got that jersey at the end of the season and then never got to basically wear it again. You know what I mean?
All right, I got two for me
because he didn't play any more seasons.
I got two for me because these were the first Bengals jerseys I ever owned. One being Neil O'Donnell, and then the other being Kajana Carter.
All right.
Those are both really bad.
I know.
Those are way worse than mine, to be fair.
And they were both.
I have another one. These were Blue Jackets, Kevin.
But that's a good jersey, though. That's not.
I was going to say I have another one that's Blue Jackets.
Mm-hmm.
I know. It's not, but it's I can't wear it because it hurts.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
It's Johnny Goodrow, Johnny Hockey. I know,
you
but it's one of those things where it's dude, I barely. After he died, though, I literally made sure that was in the back of my closet because it hurt, and it's still going to hurt. But when the Blue Jackets win it all, it's going to be different. All right, Will, you got a jersey? There's no order with Anthony. I was going to go Will, then Anthony.
My worst jersey I ever bought or worst Bengals jersey? Either one?
Oh, yeah. Wait. Hold on. I know mine. I'm sorry to interrupt. Eric Snow for the Cavaliers.
That's pretty bad.
I had an Eric Snow for the Cavaliers jersey.
That's borderline.
That's the mop bucket there.
That's borderline.
That's
okay.
the mop bucket.
I'll give my worst ever. Let's see. My worst ever jersey ever. Probably Dan Marley.
Forgot about that one.
It's probably the worst ever.
Dan Marley was.
I mean, but you don't know you don't know the basketball jerseys I had. He's just the worst. He's just the worst one of the basketball jerseys that I had.
You talking about a Dan Marley's Suns jersey? Or?
Yes, Dan Marley's Suns jersey.
God damn.
That's the worst basketball one I had.
Dan Marley's son?
No, not the Dan Marley sucked. This is all the rest I had were Hall of Famers. Cut me some slack. I did very good.
I thought you meant Dan Marley's son. I was like, I don't know who Dan Marley's son is, but Dan Marley for the Suns. No, that's a great jersey.
He didn't suck. That's just the worst of my basketball jerseys that I had. All the rest are like, had Akeem Olajuwon and Lonzo Mourning.
Well, that's not a bad jersey.
No, I mean that's just the worst one of the basketball ones I got. Okay, now the worst college. It's hard to say the worst of my college jerseys that I had. Because they're all like really, really good. They're all really good.
Well,
the worst of my college jersey was a Michael Vick, Virginia Tech. I know, right? That ain't saying much. He's great. He was great.
Woof.
Yeah, I know, but I don't care. I don't care about that. We all make bad decisions. He made egregious ones.
Yeah, he did.
When
so you've been. What I'm hearing
worst Bengal.
What I'm hearing is. Never bought a bad jersey.
I almost never have. Never have.
Eric Snow Cavaliers.
Right, because I don't let people see. I never let my family buy jerseys for me. I would always go do it myself because I know better. Better. Hold on.
Unfortunately, I didn't get that luxury because I was a kid.
Hold on. Now, wait a minute. I'm not finished yet. My worst baseball jersey. Ain't even it's not a worst. You can't say worse. Can't say worse. I guess the worst was Adam Dunn, which is not that bad, right? Not that bad.
I got Adam Dunn. I was about to say Adam Dunn. I got Adam
Dunn. Well, look,
he was good.
Well, the other ones I had was Eric Davis and Barry Larkin. Okay, win.
How you gonna top them? Yeah, no,
win. I mean, and it's not like I'm losing. And my next jersey is Ellie De La Cruz. So I mean, I'm doing all right. I think I'm doing all right there, right? Right? My worst Bengal jersey, I guess, because I don't have a lot of bad ones.
All right.
My worst Bengal jersey, I guess, would be
this motherfucker.
What? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what my worst Bengal jersey would be. Probably
this motherfucker ain't got no bad jersey.
Probably Dax Hill, because it's the newest one. Dax Hill. That's the worst
one. I bought you that motherfucker.
I know. Who cares? Who bought it?
I bought you that motherfucker.
Who cares?
You will.
So wait a minute. Wait. You
know what? I gave you the choice of which one you wanted. You said
it's a free jersey.
I know. I wanted to get one that no one would have.
You said, I want Dax Hill. I'm like,
okay, first off, since I'm not finished yet, let me name you all the Bengals jerseys that I had. And see if I ain't standing on business like I said, Dax Hill. Boomer. Hold on. Boomer. That's pretty good. Pretty fucking good, right? I never actually had Carson. Corey Dillon. Pretty damn good. Peter Ward. Right. Peter Ward. Actually pretty good. It's pretty good, right? Pretty good. Right? You want me to continue? Corey. Rudy Johnson. Not bad, right? And it was an orange one. And it was an orange jersey. It was the first orange one I ever had.
Rudy.
When we keep going? It just stop. Because there's really no bad. I didn't buy bad,
No, you good because you have told us you have no bad jerseys.
I told you Dan Marley's probably the worst jersey I had.
Anthony already gave his.
And he was an all-star.
Tyler, what's your worst jersey?
All right, so it's unfair for me.
Purchase.
Yeah, so it's unfair for me to say that because I'm in the same boat as Will. I've never bought a bad jersey. The one jersey I regret, and my parents would have got for me, would be the Carson Palmer jersey. But I didn't buy that, so that doesn't count.
No.
But I would say the best jersey I ever had have purchased would be hold up. Oh, it's a tie. It's a tie. Remember when the Bengals the uniform comp? Will, is that you?
No.
Oh, I thought I heard background noise. Sorry. So it's a tie. So when the Bengals uniform combo color combination came out for the first time in the 2021 season, The black. I bought the black Joe Burrow jersey. That was one of my favorite ones. It's tied. The other one is one you guys are not gonna like because you guys are
Why are you picking up favorites?
because I don't have a bad one. But
Okay, look.
Just go
What's on
ahead
your
and say
jersey?
it.
I'll tell you which
I
one's the
said
worst.
Eric
Then.
fucking Snow, number 20 for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
but
Eric,
okay,
no,
so
that's
my
first.
other favorites is a custom one I had made for myself, and it is one that you guys aren't gonna like.
Why the hell are you making them favorites?
I know, right?
It's
It's worse. It's worse.
it's a custom New York Yankees jersey with my name on it.
Oh,
So
Oh yeah, that's ass. Yeah, that's trash. Yeah.
go
That's
Reds!
That's the worst. Good.
that is one of my
That's
favorites.
definitely the
Go
worst.
Reds.
That's the worst jersey of all of us.
Go Reds! Go Reds! Go Reds!
Worst jersey
Nah.
of all of us by far, Tyler. Jeez.
I will
That makes
stand
Eric
on
Snow jersey
I
business
also
pretty
have
good,
to
man.
hey,
with 27.
Gotta love that
I
Eric
have
Snow.
Seth Jones, and then he was traded the same year. It's the only other Blue Jackets jersey I have is Seth Jones.
But that's not a bad jersey,
What about
Dale,
you,
because
Kevin?
he's one of
What's
the
your
best
Come
worst?
on,
defense.
I had a
Seth
Seth
Philadelphia
Jones
Eagles
is not a
turner
bad
on.
jersey. He's one of the best defensemen in Blue Jackets history.
I understand, but
I admire Kevin's passion when it comes to Blue Jackets. I admire it.
well,
Dale, I like
still
it, Dale.
trumps it all. Who has an Eric Snow number 20 Cleveland
Okay,
Cavaliers?
so
Eric
with
Snow,
the Cavaliers, you bring up Eric Snow, right?
maybe Eric Snow.
You bring up Eric Snow, the first rendition of LeBron's Cavalier teams, right? I always said his teammates were basically a mop bucket and a squeegee. He was the mop bucket, right? He was the mop bucket. The squeegee would have been Anderson Varejao. He would have been the squeegee. There you go.
And you can never say anything like that to
All
my
right,
guy.
Kevin, what's yours?
He was never that. Never that. Never that.
Okay, Dale, I'm sorry I'm going to disappoint you, but I've never really had a bad jersey. Sorry.
You got to pick one
he's
anyway.
fucking got it.
I had to pick one. You got to pick one. Come on.
So
You can do it.
I
You
guess
can do it.
again, I don't even consider this a bad one, but I guess if
Nope.
I had to pick, I had a Terrell Owens Bengals jersey. I guess, but that's not even bad, you know.
Oh yeah, that's pretty bad. He was only there 1 year.
That's pretty bad.
He was only there 1 year.
Yeah, you know.
That's pretty bad.
But like,
Pretty bad.
Collector's item.
Pretty bad. Yeah.
Collector's
you know.
item.
But like, I guess I'm viewing bad in a different way, as in like you had a jersey of a guy who sucked. That's just my interpretation of that.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah.
But
Whatever.
you know, but
Oh,
every
yeah.
other
Jason's
jersey
got a
I've
good
had,
one.
it's
John Ross jersey.
yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, every other jersey
Hold
I've
on,
had.
isn't that what Greg had?
Yeah, traded it for Blanton's or no, traded it for a John Ross jersey. Even worse. Traded
Hold on, he
high
traded a
price
bottle.
fucking
Hold on, he
bourbon.
traded a fucking bottle of Blanton's for a John Ross shirt.
I think it might have been two bottles for the jersey.
Well, collector's edition.
I bet Greg cries.
Continue, Kevin.
I have to say, I bet Greg cries himself to sleep over that.
I just,
Yeah,
I guess the Terrell Owens Bengals one qualifies as bad. I don't necessarily see it that way.
It does.
But
it does.
But
1 year. He was there 1 year.
12 touchdowns. It's not bad. What do you mean? Come on now. Don't do that.
So, but other than that, like all my jerseys, like they've all been from whether it be Bengals, Blue Jackets, or like the Reds, like they've always been like good players. You know, like Carson Palmer,
and they used to
Chad
only
Johnson for the Bengals.
They used to only sell jerseys. They used to only sell jerseys to good players.
Yep.
To be fair, I have 3 Clark Harris jerseys. I could say Clark Harris, but I will never say that. I would never say I have 3 Clark Harris.
Come on, now you say you have one of the greatest. Come on, you got one of the greatest long snappers in our history.
He's the GOAT. He's thank you, and that's why that's why he never entered the conversation.
Yeah, no, I mean, wait a minute.
And one of them says, "To my best friend Dell, autograph."
Yeah,
he wrote that. Come on.
Yeah, like Cal Abramaitis, I might be like, I'd question you, but not Clark Harris. Come on. Come on now.
Clark Harris.
I do like Chop's
All right,
question.
boys.
If we could pull that up, Dill.
And what's it?
Pork Chop's question. I'll start it. I'll start.
Okay, is this football only? Is this football only or any sport?
Okay. So I'll just keep it football
He's
for
got to
this.
clarify. He has to clarify.
Oh, he has to clarify. Okay.
What's the question? I didn't even see it.
Now, Dell, when obviously
Still up
you're a basketball fan, right? Dell? When you were younger, those blue Carmelo Anthony jerseys just hit a lot of different. Like those were pretty sweet back in the day.
Well, when I was younger, the first jersey I ever got, I was in like 4th, 5th grade. It was Shaquille O'Neal, Orlando Magic.
That was
sick. Shit, that was one of my favorites. That was one of my first basketball.
Bro, that shit was fire.
I got that a year before he went to the Lakers.
Yeah,
then I regretted it.
The white.
So also, is this current? See, I need to know, Chop. Is this current? He says football, and is it current?
The light blue Carmelo Anthony jersey for me back in the day was super nice. Wow. If you guys remember that.
I know that's why for me, like I was always hesitant to buy, like if there was a guy that got signed to the Bengals or a favorite team of mine, and they were only on a 1-year deal, I always was hesitant to buy their jerseys. Hell, I still got my T. Higgins 85 jersey, but I was hesitant to buy the 5 jersey just because we weren't sure if we were going to still have it.
See, that's the thing. I never bought the 85, but I have the 5. And I bought the 5 before he got signed because he was the franchise tag the next year. And I was like, oh, shoot. I was like, he's not going to be here, is he? And I'm glad he's here.
Yeah, so
because both
I held off.
All right, so job specifications are football player. Hold on. Football player. Any other team's jersey has to be football, current or past, but not the Bengals. That's the specification.
Are you talking about the bad jerseys or just overall?
No, good. Like you would want to buy.
No.
You would want to buy.
Saying if you could buy.
You mean that I bought?
Yeah, that's not a Bengals. It's not Bengals.
Mike Vick Falcons jersey.
It's not Bengals, current or past, but any other football jersey, present or past, that you could buy. And will start with you and kick it over.
Yes.
Anthony, shut the fuck up, Anthony. I'm starting with Will.
Fuck you, Tim. Love you, buddy.
Powder blue, LaDainian Tomlinson Chargers jersey.
That's sick.
That's I always wanted one. I never.
That's a good pick.
Them was so sweet, and LT.
Man,
was so
those
good
motherfuckers beat the Bengals. They
49-42
they beat the fucking Bengals.
49 points.
I was at that game.
So was I.
Plus to see never been, and they came back, and I hate LT for that, but I
wanted to storm the field. Fucking Phillip Rivers. What the fuck? Right? Vincent Jackson, Antonio Gates. Somebody else go. I'm mad now. but the jersey was still sweet though. The jersey was still sweet though. Go ahead.
Yes.
For me,
that's a good one though. That's a good one.
For me, I gotta go the old school Cowboys jerseys. I'm just debating between Dion and Michael Irvin.
You want the one with the stars on the side, Anthony?
Yep.
Those were sweet. Talking
about the old 90s, the old 90s versions? Yeah.
I think they had them in 95. Those were sweet.
It's just between the Dion and Michael Irvin. I didn't know which one I liked more.
Oh, I had the all white Emmitt Smith. It was sweet. It was so sweet. I didn't want to wear it. It would get dirty too easy.
So I was in junior high, and Troy Aikman. My sister liked Troy Aikman because she thought she was hot. She was 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
And I remember borrowing jersey going to fucking like a junior high party in the basement, and I was the baddest motherfucker up in there because I'm like, got these stars on here. So those jerseys are sweet. But yeah, I went with the white guy, Troy Aikman. That's what she went with. Don't hate me.
All right, so Anthony, I think it cut out for me. What was your choice?
It was the old school '95 Cowboys jerseys.
Okay.
Those are sweet.
For me, I'm going to be a little bit different. I'm going to choose one from the past and one from the present. So past, I have to agree with Wills though that powder blue LaDainian Tomlinson, he is my favorite running back. Probably I've ever watched. Growing up, that's not a Bengals running back. Like, dude was an absolute dog. LaDainian Tomlinson, like, if I could, every time in Madden, I would always put him on the Bengals and just screw the salary cap and just use them every single time, right? But LaDainian Tomlinson was so good. So good. Now, present, I would choose the black and their other colors. I forget, what is it, gold from the New Orleans Saints. I would take Alvin Kamara, the black jerseys that they wear on a regular basis, and it's nothing special about the jersey. I just really like Alvin Kamara as a player. Like, in my opinion, he's vastly. I mean, he's taken a dip the last couple of years, but he's been one of the better utility running backs in the league over the last like several years, and I would take that black Saints Alvin Kamara jersey currently.
Okay.
Kevin?
So I like the Bengals are my number one team, but I do have a little positive bias towards the Minnesota Vikings for a couple reasons. I have family in Minnesota,
You just hate Chicago where you live. You hate Chicago where you live.
No. I got no issues with them. There's people in my family. I live in the Chicago area, and a lot of people like the Bear. A lot of people like the Bears, and I got no issues with the Bears. So I got no issues with the Bears. But the reason for Minnesota, I have family in Minnesota. I think about them because of the Vikings, and I've always liked purple, yellow, white color combination. My brother liked the Vikings growing up. He was a big Dante Culpepper, Randy Moss guy, and he always wore Randy Moss, Dante Culpepper jerseys. So putting that all together, I would, if it's not a Bengals jersey, I would get a purple Vikings jersey, preferably in the style that Randy Moss wore, where it's got the Viking on the sleeve in purple. And if I can't get that, and if I can't,
I have one.
Outstanding. And if I couldn't, and if I couldn't get the Randy Moss purple Vikings jersey with the Viking on the sleeve, the next choice would be purple. The next choice would be purple Justin Jefferson.
Okay, that's pretty good. So one current, one past. Dude, I love the Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Purple freaking dude, I love it. I'm never getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Like, I love that jersey. I've had it for 20 some years. Probably 30 some years. Whatever. A long time. So one past player. I'll say Lawrence Taylor. I think Lawrence Taylor was a freak. So I would say a Lawrence Taylor Giants jersey I would fucking rock. And then a current one. So this is like a current player I really fuck with. I almost want to say Saquon Barkley, Eagles.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
So let me ask you this, and I want to throw this out there. Yeah, Dale. Figure, hey, this would be to get you. Everybody can chime in on this one. But if looking at how the Giants originally had viewed Saquon, basically telling him to go test the market and come back with an offer, but he ends up signing with the Eagles. Would you say that the Eagles owe the New York Giants a fruit basket or a nice stiff middle finger and get told to go fuck off?
Yeah, they should give a fruit basket, but honestly, they
I'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
sending. I'd be sending them some. I'd be sending them some flowers as a thank you gift.
No wing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
No,
send him a
wing.
ring. Send him a ring for that. Like,
what? Damn.
Wing
Everybody
said
get-
for the podcast listeners. She says in other sports, my dumb ass got the Chris Humphries jersey when he got married to Kim Kardashian.
Oh,
damn.
Like,
was he even good?
Low key, that's kind of a collector's item.
no.
Was he even good?
No.
I don't know.
No.
He was.
No.
No.
He was tall.
Passable at times.
Okay.
There you go. That's there you go. I'm not gonna say he's bad.
Yeah. And Chop, yours was also Justin Jefferson, right? Chop. Like Chop says you already know mine.
Because LSU.
And she said, I thought he would become popular.
I mean, he did. Yeah, I mean, he did for that reason for a time.
Yeah.
It was like 8 dudes ago, and then it flamed out, you know.
And Christian Thompson. There you go.
Dude, what a great show. What a fun show. Almost 2 fucking hours in. This was fun. I don't care if no one else enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Thanks for having us all on.
Yeah.
Definitely appreciate it.
Likewise, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, sorry, Chop. I was wrong, guys. It's not Justin Jefferson. Jane Daniels for Chop.
But it's still LSU though.
Get it for his past one.
He would suck
Would his past one be a Jamarcus Russell jersey?
Sure.
He wasn't a fan then. He wasn't a fan then.
Tyler Shelvin jersey.
I figured I would ask, but
Tyler Shelvin Bengals jersey.
Tyler Shelvin.
There you go. LSU. How you like that?
One of the great Bengals draft picks where I was like, why would you take him in the 4th round? Bro has no work ethic.
Don't know. He's big though.
Jane Daniels, good quarterback, fun.
Yep.
Yeah, he was big. He was very big.
Yeah, it's big as hell.
All right, we are going to stop for this, and I appreciate anybody that tuned into this show. Probably burning it after, but I hope y'all had